Relationship intelligence, the missing layer in modern love. We've never had more information about relationships. Dating platforms can filter thousands of profiles in seconds. Compatibility tools compare values, preferences. Matchmakers bring years of professional judgment to decisions about who should meet. Then we have coaches who help people understand their patterns that once went unnamed. And yet, one question remains surprisingly difficult. How do we know what actually matters when deciding whether two people have the potential to build a meaningful relationship? That question is what led me to relationship intelligence, because understanding two individuals is only part of the picture. We also need to understand what happens between them, and that is the missing layer. Think about how most relationship decisions are made. We look at preferences, attraction, values, lifestyle, and whether someone appears to meet the criteria we believe matter. All of that can provide useful information, but two people can look wonderful on paper and struggle enormously when they actually come together. Another pair can differ in ways that seem significant and still function beautifully in the relationship. So I became interested in a different question, which is, what emerges when these two people interact? That is very different from asking, who are you? Who are they? Now we're examining the relationship itself, and that is where relationship intelligence begins. So what is relationship intelligence? It is the discipline of improving relationship decisions through structured frameworks, explainable models, and reflective discernment. In relationships, that means looking beyond information about two individuals and developing a clearer understanding of what is actually happening between them. At the heart of my work are three distinct dimensions of relationship potential. They are chemistry, compatibility, and conscious alignment. Each dimension answers a very different question. Chemistry asks, what pulls us together? So chemistry is the experience of attraction and activation that creates a sense of pull between two people. It might show up as physical attraction, emotional charge, fascination, playfulness, intellectual stimulation, sexual energy, or simply a strong desire to be around someone. Chemistry tells us that something is happening. It cannot by itself tell us what that something can become. This is why one of the principles at the center of my work is attraction is information, it is not instruction. Strong chemistry does not automatically mean a relationship is right for you. It does not automatically mean something is wrong either. It is information. The question is what that information deserves to mean within the whole relationship. The second dimension is compatibility. Question is, how do we function together? So compatibility is the way two people's relational mechanics interact, shaping how they effectively function together in a partnership. So this is where traditional compatibility thinking can become too focused on similarities. So do we like the same things? Do we have similar lifestyles? Do we share interests? Yes, those things can matter, but two people can be remarkably different and function beautifully together. Two people can also look incredibly similar on paper and create continual friction. So compatibility asks what happens when the way you operate meets the way I operate. How do we communicate? How do we process emotions? How do we make decisions? What happens when our needs interact? How do we navigate conflict and repair? What does everyday life actually feel like between us? This gives us an important distinction. Similarity describes the individuals. Compatibility describes the interaction. And there is another part of compatibility that has become especially important in my work. How are we naturally inclined to express and receive love? Through my Love Gates work, I explore human design-based patterns in how love can be expressed and received. Two people can genuinely care for each other while repeatedly missing one another in the delivery and reception of that love. One person's natural expression may land beautifully for their partner. another might require translation. That difference becomes compatibility information because love can be genuine while the way it is expressed and received creates friction. And then we have the third dimension, which is conscious alignment. It says, where are we going together? Conscious alignment is the degree to which two people's deeper life directions, their growth trajectories, and orientations towards partnership can move forward together. This goes deeper than asking whether two people share the same goals. Two people can both want marriage, they can both want children, they can both value growth, and still understand partnership, purpose, or future very differently. Conscious alignment asks, what kind of life is each person building? How does each person understand partnership? How do their growth paths interact? And one of my favorite questions, are the people we are becoming capable of building a future together? Alignment does not require identical destinations. Two people can walk very different paths while those paths continue moving forward together. Conscious alignment describes trajectory, not destiny. So, reading the relationship as a whole, this is where relationship intelligence becomes particularly useful. Different truths can coexist within the same relationship. You can experience powerful chemistry and difficult compatibility. You can function beautifully together while recognizing that your deeper trajectories are diverging. You can share a compelling future vision while discovering that everyday relational mechanics require considerable work. Or a relationship may show strength across all three dimensions. None of those configurations is a verdict. They are information. The question becomes, what is the whole relationship showing me? And now we come to the real attraction pyramid. The real attraction pyramid is the human relationship discernment framework that I developed to help organize those three dimensions. Its purpose has evolved as my work has evolved. I no longer think of the pyramid as a ladder where relationships climb from chemistry to and eventually reach conscious alignment. The pyramid represents structure, not status. Chemistry, compatibility, and conscious alignment provide different forms of relationship information. The objective is clarity. Now I want to talk about self-alignment. Self-alignment asks, what is true for me? But there's something we need before we all can interpret any of that information well, and that is self-alignment. Before I can decide what a relationship means for me, I need some relationship with myself. What do I genuinely require? What is simply a preference? What patterns might be influencing my interpretation? What kind of life am I building? What matters enough that I need to give it greater weight? This is why I say self-alignment gives discernment somewhere to stand. Self-alignment itself sits outside the three relationship dimensions. It provides personal context for interpretation. It is not a lace calculation. The same relationship information can mean something completely different to two different people. A particular degree of attraction may be enough for one person and insufficient for another. A relational difference may feel easy for one person to navigate and completely unsustainable for someone else. So the framework provides information. Self-alignment gives you the internal reference point from which to understand what that information means for you. And this brings us to the philosophical foundation underneath my work, discernment. I define discernment as the disciplined practice of perceiving reality as clearly as possible before deciding how to respond. And the principle is at the center of my work, which is that the quality of your decisions will never exceed the quality of your discernment. That matters enormously in relationships because the more information you have does not automatically create better decisions. Sometimes it creates more noise. So first, what is actually here? Then, what does what I'm seeing mean? Based on what is presently knowable, what appears most true, and what is the wisest response available to me? then we make a decision. And the outcome gives us new information. Within the real attraction pyramid, that relationship practice can be expressed simply as see, name, weigh, integrate, and then choose. Perception contains seeing and naming, discernment contains weighing and integrating, and decision contains choosing. Outcome gives us new information and begins the cycle again. Conscious choice. This is where human agency becomes explicit. Conscious choice is the human act of deciding how to respond after relationship information has been interpreted through self-alignment and discernment. That choice can shape pace, communication, boundaries, commitment, continued exploration, or departure. Sometimes the most discerning decision is simply not deciding more than the available information allows. That matters especially in dating. You may not know after 2 dates whether someone could become a life partner. You may know enough to decide whether you want a third date. That is still a complete decision. Relationship potential is not destiny. This distinction is important because relationship intelligence does not tell us who the one is. It does not guarantee that the relationship will last. It does not make the decision for us. Relationship potential is information about possibility, not certainty about outcome. Because behaviors matter, choice matters, circumstances matter, people continue evolving. Someone can have meaningful relationship potential with another person and still make choices that damage the relationship. This is why I distinguish potential from behavior. Potential describes what may be possible. Behavior reveals what is actually being lived. So no framework should ask us to ignore what is actually happening in front of us. So why does this matter now? Technology makes this conversation especially important. Artificial intelligence can interpret profiles, patterns, summarize conversations, and recommend potential partners. That capability will continue to expand. So the emerging question is becoming less about whether technology can find more information. Sure, it can. The more important question is, which information should matter when making a relationship decision? And that is a relationship intelligence question. The future of relationship technology will increasingly depend on the quality of the intelligence beneath the recommendation. And that is why I built Lace. This question that I've been asking led me to build Lace. My background is in technology. It's in transformation and decision systems. For more than 2 decades, I worked with complex systems and the challenge of turning information into better decisions. When I began applying that same thinking to relationships, I noticed something. We had tremendous amounts of information about individuals. What felt missing was a structured way to examine the relationship between all of those people. And that became Lace. So Lace is a relationship intelligence technology platform. It provides structured human design-based indicators related to chemistry, compatibility, and conscious alignment. These indicators are one source of relationship intelligence. They do not tell us whether two people actually experience attraction, how they navigate in lived relationship, or whether the future they say they want is the future they ultimately choose. So lived experience, observation, behavior, and conversation complete the picture. Lace adds structured intelligence to the relationship decision. It does not make the decision. The human retains agency. This is why I believe relationship intelligence has applications far beyond any one part of the relationship industry. A matchmaker can use it when considering an introduction. A relationship professional can use it as another lens for understanding how two people experience one another. A dating platform can use it to move beyond preference-driven matching. An individual can use the framework to better understand the relationship they are actually experiencing. The application changes, the underlying question remains. What can we understand about the relationship itself that helps someone make a better decision? I believe this represents an important shift in how we think about modern love. We have spent years and decades developing better ways to understand individuals. Now we have an opportunity to understand what happens between them with greater depth. Relationship intelligence helps us see the relationship more clearly. Discernment helps us understand what that information means. Conscious choice determines how we respond. Because a conscious relationship decision does not require knowing the future, it requires seeing the present as clearly as possible. So you see clearly, you discern wisely, and you choose consciously. That gives you better decisions, stronger relationships, and more conscious